Welcome to the English Made Simple Show. This is episode 100, número 100. Es la hora de la fiesta. Time to party, amigos. Hey, what's up, happy people? I've changed the introduction a bit. Did you notice? Why did you do that? Well, because today's special episode. Today is a special episode. I wanted to spice things up a bit. I included a nice dancey tune. Did you like it? I hope you did. I will play it again at the end of the show so you can get up and dance for like 30 seconds. That particular podcast jingle, that music that you heard, was composed by a very talented guy from Spain. And the original music that I play with every episode was composed by a guy from Venezuela. Another talented musician. Cool, now you know the secret about this music. Awesome, now you know it. So I wanted to include something dancey, something to shake your booty. I wanted something with Latino feel to it. It had to have this Latin rhythm. Now, I should introduce myself before I forget. I easily forget things. So, welcome to the English Made Simple show. My name is Milena from EnglishMadeSimple.net, EnglishMadeSimple.net. And who am I? Who is Milena? And why English Made Simple? So many questions, yet so little time. I think it's time I reveal a little bit about me so you can get to know me a little bit. How about that? If you've been listening to the English Made Simple show since the first episode, which was released in March 2016, I think the very first episode was aired on 18th of March, I think, around that time anyway. So, if you've been listening for a year, then you must have some idea about who I am. Who is Milena? Oh, by the way, I don't dare listen to that first episode because I cringe every time I listen to it. I'm like, oh no, do I sound like that? That's my voice? Oh my God, I sound like a scared little girl. Has anyone tried recording their voice and playing it back? What did you think of your voice? How did it sound? Anyway, it's normal to feel like this. It's normal not to like the sound of your own voice. Everyone goes through this. But I did sound like a scared little girl. Did you know that it took me 2 months to release that first episode, that very first episode? I recorded it in January 2016 and I released it in March that same year. It took me 2 months. Thanks to my husband who encouraged me to launch it finally. I should be more grateful to him, but nah, I'm still going to make fun of him. He actually said to me, Milena, that episode was really great. You really sounded great on mute. He means to say mute. Like en silencio, you sound great when you are silent. What? On mute? What the? On mute. This is a phrase and it means without any sound. If you have a remote control at home, you know, the thing that you use to change the channel, and you want to quickly lower the volume, you simply push the mute button. The mute button. Mute button. Okay? And my husband was joking, obviously, when he said that. Well, I hope he was joking. Anyway, if you are new to today's show, then welcome, amigos. You have a lot of episodes to catch up on. Enjoy. So today, in today's episode, I would like to share something about myself that not many people know about. I will also share some of my experiences with learning English and Spanish. Then I want you to think about how you would describe yourselves. How would you talk about yourselves? I covered something similar in episode number 24, episode about answering a job interview question. Tell me about yourself. That was back in episode number 24. Long time ago now. And then, towards the end of the show, we will finish off with some quick random questions at the end of the show, presented by my assistant, Weon, Mr. Weon himself. It's gonna be fun. Let's begin. Firstly, here's a quick timeline of my life. Born and raised in Serbia, not Siberia. Some people get confused with these two countries. Actually, I was born in the former Yugoslavia back in 1981. The country doesn't exist anymore. As some of you might know, there was a war there in the early 90s that split the country in 5 different countries, like Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, and Montenegro. By the way, did you know Melania Trump is from Slovenia? True that, both of us come from the former Yugoslavia. Interesting. She's married to a billionaire and I'm married to a poor little Chileno. My family and I moved to New Zealand in 1995 when I was 14 years old. I lived in Auckland, New Zealand for 12 years. Then I moved to Melbourne, my new home. New Zealand is where I went to high school. I also studied in Auckland and I landed my first job with an insurance company in their information technology department. I'm a bit of a nerd, what can I say? Somebody asked me before whether it was difficult for me to learn English. Well, I started learning English at the age of 10. I remember it was a compulsory subject in the primary school. This was back in Serbia. We also had to learn Russian, I remember. But for some reason, I was always interested in learning English. Maybe because I grew up watching Hollywood movies and because I was listening to the music in English. The hardest thing for me was when we arrived in New Zealand, we were used to listening to the accent from the United States. We never knew about the Kiwi accent before we arrived in New Zealand. We never expected it to be so different. It took us about 3 or 6 months to start to understand the Kiwi accent. Kiwi accent is the accent from New Zealand, by the way, for those of you who don't know. On the other hand, the Australian accent is another story. It is not the same as the New Zealand accent. There are just so many different accents that exist in English. Even though we spent such a long time in New Zealand and Australia, I never wanted to give up my accent. I'm keeping it. It is who I am. And it's a great conversation starter. So, as most of you know, I spent some time in Santiago de Chile. Santiago is a beautiful city. I miss it. It was there where I found my passion for teaching English. I've decided to create this podcast to keep in touch with my students from Chile. We say Chile in English, not Chile. When I created my podcast, it started off with 20 listeners listening to the show, including my family. And then 6 months later, it grew to about 10,000 and it keeps growing every day. I get listeners from all around the world, from every corner of the world. It's really amazing. It's really cool. In fact, I am surprised people are listening to my gibberish and my silly jokes. So, I didn't speak any Spanish before I arrived in Chile. I wasn't able to have a conversation with someone in Spanish. I was too scared to even order a cup of coffee. I wouldn't say I'm super fluent in Spanish, but I can hold a conversation. And I can understand telenovelas without subtitles, you know? Easy peasy. Okay, and now I'm going to share something about me that not everybody knows. Something really personal about me, okay? Very quickly, here we go. I am a coffee and wine addict. I love all sorts of animals, including the not so cuddly ones like sharks and crocodiles, and my husband. They all look fun. I am a certified aerobics instructor. I used to teach aerobics in the gym, and I also competed in bodybuilding in New Zealand. This was back in 2003, long time ago. I grew up listening to bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, Sepultura, or Sepultura, how they say in English. And one of the best concerts that I went to was the Foo Fighters concert. Back in high school, I learned to play guitar, acoustic, and electric guitar. I also learned to play drums. I don't know how to sing, but I think that I can sing. It's really embarrassing. I do embarrass myself often. I used to be a member of a heavy metal band called Metalization, and now that I think of it, this name is a bit ridiculous. Maybe that's why it never worked out. I am the youngest in my family. I have a twin sister. She's 10 minutes older than me, and one older brother who is 4 years older than me. I'm the youngest. And that's about it. If you would like to learn more about me, you can check out the About page on the English Made Simple website. I've just recently updated it. Check it out. And while you're there, you will also learn about Weon Inteligente. Who is Weon Inteligente? He's the international man of mystery, and he represents any dictionary out there. Weon is a slang word. It's slang from Chile, and it means something like buddy, amigo. It probably means something else, which is a little bit, let's just say, not so nice. I remember every second word in Chile was weon. That's what I used to hear everywhere. Obviously, I am exaggerating. So, that's me in a nutshell. Before we get on to the 6 random questions for Milena, what I want you to do is, I want you to think about yourselves. How would you describe your English journey? You could share your story with the English Made Simple community, or if you don't feel comfortable sharing it this way, then just email me at hello@englishmadesimple.net or send me a message via website englishmadesimple.net. By the way, being able to talk about yourself is a great practice for you amigos y amigas who are preparing for English exams, or even for those who are preparing for job interviews. You have to be able to talk about yourselves. Cool bananas! And now I'd like to ask my asistente aweonao, Mr. Aweonator, to ask me some random questions. Mr. Weon Inteligente makes an appearance for the very first time. For those who don't speak Spanish, let's just call this guy my assistant Weon. He's very judgmental and he's quite nerdy. He's a perfectionist.
Hello creatures! Good day everybody! First question for Mrs. Milena. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is Thai food from Thailand.
Not healthy. Next question. How many languages do you speak?
I speak 3 languages fluently and 2 languages not so fluently.
Not impressive. Next question. If you have any special superpowers, what would they be?
Interesting question. If I had any special superpowers, what would they be? Let me think. 1 second. I would like to be able to make people laugh and to be able to make endless supplies of Nutella with my superpowers.
Oh dear, childish, boring. Next question. What are your weaknesses?
I have many weaknesses, but the ones that stand out are Nutella. I can't say no to Nutella. Nice red wine. I can't say no to wine. And coffee. I'm a coffee addict.
I thought there were more. Next question. How would your friends describe you?
My friends would describe me as someone who's cheeky, honest, and rebellious.
Seriously? Okay, whatever. Next random question. there any singer you like but are too embarrassed to admit?
I have a couple of artists that I like that I'm too embarrassed to admit. The first one being Shakira. I like Shakira. I'm too embarrassed to admit that I like her. I only like one song from Justin Bieber, and it's called Sorry. The song is called Sorry. Yes, I know. Sorry about that.
Shameful. And finally, oh, thank God. Last question. Do you have any tips that you could share with the listeners of the show on how to improve their English skills?
Any tips for the listeners? I know that the speaking part is the main problem for most English learners. And this is due to the fact that it's hard to find someone you can practice with, especially if you're living in a non-English speaking country. However, this shouldn't really stop you from learning English. Luckily, we live in exciting times when we can learn anything we want online. We can learn anything on the internet from the comfort of our own home. Here are a couple of tips that I recommend for the listeners of English Made Simple. You can go to meetup.com to find a meetup near you. By attending the meetups, you can find some native speakers. You can practice your English with those native speakers. The next tip I'd like to share with you is you can listen to podcasts in English, such as the English Made Simple show. Podcasts allow you to learn English every day, no matter what you happen to be doing. You could be driving and listening to English, or you could be washing the dishes. It's brilliant. I binge on podcasts. I have so many of my favorite shows that I listen to every day, and I always learn something new every day. It's really cool. I highly recommend it.
Ha! Great question, but average answer. Okay, Mrs. Thank you for your time, Miss Milena, and for wasting my precious time. Leave me alone, please.
Okay, thanks, Weon. Now go back to your hole. And thank you, amigos, for joining me in celebrating episode 100, número 100. Wow, can't believe we got to 100. Hope you enjoyed today's show. You've been jamming with Milena from English Made Simple. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time to get up and dance. I'll catch you next time. Hasta la próxima.